Grab a cup of joe and let's gather round that hay bale. With your hosts, Ann from Andale Homestead, Casey from Ormsby Farms, Monica from Bland's Promised Land Ranch, and Sandy from Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona. Here they are. Hey, y'all, hey.
Hey, y'all, hey, it's Ann at Andale Homestead.
Hey, everyone, it is Casey over at Ormsby Farms.
And I'm Monica at Bland's Promised Land Ranch.
And this is Sandy with Suburban Homesteader, Wyoming, Arizona.
All right. So if you are listening to us in your ears right now or on your phone in podcast land, I would love to invite you to come over to YouTube where you can see our smiling faces. And sometimes we put things up on the screen so you can see what we're talking about. And that way you don't feel kind of left out because we're going to be showing you all kinds of different fun things depending on the episode. So if you are just listening, don't forget to go check us out there. And if you're in, YouTube, then you can always check us out later on the podcast platforms because we're in both areas. But we just wanted to remind you that we are available on YouTube and we would love for you to check us out at Round the Hay Bale, not Around the Hay Bale, but the R first, Round the Hay Bale over on YouTube. So come join us over there. And now let's see what we're talking about. Sandy, you here to start us off?
I will. And today's topic is very close to my heart. It's very interesting. It's called Time to Heal, stocking up your herbal medicine cabinet. Now, last week, we talked about foraging for medical herbs that we might be able to find. Now we're talking about having those things in our actual herbal cabinet. For me, it's one of my kitchen cabinets, and it might be different things for different people. But we're going to talk about things that we think that you should have, things to think about, and it's going to be a great discussion today. So, Ann, you love to have some herbal healings.
I do.
So what would you put in a herbal medicine cabinet if somebody was just starting?
Okay. Let's see. It's somebody just starting. Well, I can tell you, honestly, I was just starting about 2 years ago. Once that silly pandemic thing went through, and I do take quite a bit of medication, and I thought, if I can't get my medicine, I better learn how to use God's medicine, or it's going to be see you later, Gator. So I began to do a research, and that is an entire world, y'all. If you think gardening is a world, herbs and healing herbs is a whole nother level. And so I think the very first thing that I learned was about turmeric, about cayenne pepper. These were things that I could grow in my garden. But then I began to branch out and understand that there's all kinds of things you can do with all kinds of things. You just have to learn how to utilize them. So one thing that I have, that has worked so well for me is calendula oil. Using the calendula flower and infusing that with a castor oil in my case, but a lot of people infuse it with a whole bunch of different oils. That for me has an incredible healing factor. I am one, that scars very easily, takes me months to get over a scratch. And this calendula oil has been good along with the castor oil to settle my stomach. I don't take it internally. This is externally to settle my stomach, to soothe my psoriasis, to help with sleep because the castor oil helps you rest, and to be able to cure all kinds of things. So that would be my first choice is calendula flowers with using it with castor oil. So Casey, do you have anything around your home that you started with or that maybe you might be able to utilize some of God's work?
God's medicine. Well, I'll tell you what's funny is everybody knows that we pre-record our episodes, and still we are early. This may come out, I think this comes out late June, maybe early July, but I know the Southerners of us right here are still dealing with allergies, like
Yes.
crazy allergies. So this is a great episode to really listen to prepare for next year also. But before we got on, I heard Ann talking about the calendula oil, and my mother is the same way. She has very, very thin skin. I mean,
Mhm.
you can accidentally run into a door handle and it will rip the skin and it will take years to heal.
It feels
And
like it.
calendula, I probably need to go ahead and get from my medicine cabinet.
Yes.
But one that Monica told me about that is kind of like my staple. Hey y'all, this is Casey from Ormsby Farm, the Halfway Homestead, and Round the Hay Bale podcast. Want to see what I'm really saying? Head over to our podcast platforms, meaning you can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Alexa, hear our uncensored episode, and then come back here to YouTube and leave comments. We'll see you next time. Sandy, I want to say I know what Sandy's going to say. I'm going to wait for Sandy to say it. And then if you're watching us, come over and see my facial expression, see if I was right or not. But Sandy, what is your choice for the one thing that you would say you need to have in your medicine cabinet?
Well, first of all, did you know that there's a DIY way to make colloidal silver too? Because that's Joe.
No.
Does that, and you use the battery. I should have Joe do a video. And
Absolutely.
yeah, but actually, this might surprise you. I'm not sure if this is what he's thinking. I mean, I have a lot of tinctures. I have a lot of different things. But if I was going to pick one thing to put in my cabinet, I would put in activated charcoal.
Oh.
Because
that's good.
I make it into caplets. And so many times your family, they can have upset stomachs, or they eat something bad, or your pets eat something bad. And that activated charcoal goes into your stomach and it can really pull those toxins out, and then it passes through. So honestly, that would be my number one thing. I mean, there's a lot of things, and we'll talk about different things.
Well, how do you get activated charcoal?
Oh, you can buy it. Yeah.
Okay.
You buy it in a bag. Most of the herb places, Mountain Rose, different places, that you can just purchase it from them. I'm sure Amazon has it too. I don't know. But I usually, if I can't make it or grow it, I usually go with like Mountain Rose or one of those.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Isn't it really good? Also, I've seen in new whitening, like toothpaste and stuff, to use activated charcoal to put on your teeth, and it pulls out the toxins and the discoloration from your teeth. I've just read that now, so I've heard
my toothpaste has that in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What about you, Monica?
Well, Casey will probably know what I'm going to say on this one too, because you already said calendula, which is my like number 2. But before I say anything, I just want to say, because if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to stock up, I'm going to make a list, you can definitely 100% do that. But remember, we are not doctors. We are not medical people. These are just things that we put in our cabinets because, to be honest with you, we have experience and we have found these things work for us. So make sure that you take what we say and you do your own research and you look it up yourself and you feel comfortable, because some of these things that we may say, if you're pregnant or if you have certain medical conditions, they may not work for you. And so we found that out just with our use. So I'm going to say for myself, I would go, the number one thing I always have, and I refill every single month, I have it on subscribe and save on my Amazon, is Arnica. Cream Arnica gel. That's it. That's my Arnica. Did you guys have to call me out before I got in here?
Can we just say for the viewers that we all have a private chat. There's a private chat that y'all can't see to the side that we talk to each other, to keep ourselves on track and so forth. And me and Sandy called it already before my.
You agreed not to say Arnica for yourselves because you know that would like take away my brain. Well,
no, I was going to say Sandy was Mullen. I was going to say Mullen for Sandy.
Yeah, I was thinking Mullen or Yarrow.
I was going to say Yarrow.
Yeah, I like both of those.
Yeah. But I will say Arnica. And here's the thing. When I first started getting into more natural remedies and more natural things, when I moved here to Texas 11 years ago, Within the first 48 hours of us getting here, my 14-year-old at the time, he was 14, my oldest, had a very traumatic incident. He was basically, his nose was crushed right into his face. And I'll never forget, at midnight, we're driving into a town that I've literally only been in for 48 hours. We take him to the hospital, the emergency room. They're like, look, his eye socket should have been blown out at this point, but his glasses saved his face. And they were really surprised how well he's been doing. His nose had swollen back up to normal size, but he basically had crushed all the bones from his, like the middle of his nose all the way down to the tip. Like everything was crushed, completely crushed in. They're like, he's probably going to need surgery, but it's a Tuesday night. How about give it a few days and then go ahead and make an appointment with the plastic surgeon on Friday. So this is Tuesday night at literally, we just moved here on Monday morning. So we had been here less than 48 hours. And I'll never forget calling my friend and I'm like, I need you to pray. I'm not sure what to do. And she said, Monica, go get some arnica. And I said, I don't have any. I didn't bring that. She said, go to the local Walgreens, CVS, whatever it is, go get the arnica, get the gel or the cream, whatever you can find. This is 11 years ago. And I'm like, she's like, trust me. And lo and behold, 12:30 in the morning, we go into this 24-hour CVS in the middle of town that I've never been in before. And there's this bottle of Arnica gel. And it says, do not use near the eyes because it contains alcohol. Well, I'm like, forget it. I got to do something. So we began to put Arnica gel on his nose, all around his eyes, very gently because we didn't want it to burn. Sure. And we used it. And I'm going to tell you that this kid he's had 2 surgeries since this happened. But within 48 hours of this actual injury, they said, you're going to swell. There's going to be extreme amount of, you're going to have black eyes. It's going to be bad. You're going to look rough. Mm-hmm. This boy did not have a single black eye. He barely had an indentation of bruising right here at the tip of his nose. His eyes never blackened and he barely had swelling. His nasal, it was completely crushed. He had 2 surgeries to correct it. That's how bad it was. And yet, no swelling hardly and no bruising besides 2 little marks where his glasses sat. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe it. I was floored. I was sold. And ever since then, I literally never have a medicine cabinet without Arnica gel or Arnica cream. It is the number one thing in my house that I use. And when the kids have a bruise or they get a sting or anything that's just sunburns, we had massive burns. We actually had a pile, if y'all eat grits, we had a bowl of hot grits from the microwave fall out onto the same 14-year-old that I got his face busted in. Oh, gosh. Within 6 months of us living here, this bowl falls out, gets on his hands, burns him. I mean, like nth degree burns. Like they had to have the topical. We used Arnica gel immediately to cover his hands and his feet. By the time he got to the hospital, we took him to the hospital and they said, wow, you should have been blistered by now. We're not sure how this isn't blistered. This is a whatever degree burn. They gave us a special Silvadine cream and all the stuff, the Silvadine cream and all the stuff that was specialized for him to put on. And they said, this is amazing. You should have had blisters by now. This is a very bad burn. And I was like, Arnica. But he said the reason why, he said, Mom, this hurts so bad. But every time he would coat his hands in the Arnica, the pain would subside just enough that he could go. So my kids don't play. I don't play around with anything that is not an open wound. As long as it's not an open wound, Arnica cream, Arnica gel. We have it. We always keep it. That is the number one. It's great for stings and burns and sunburn. My kids had sunburn on their arms last week. Arnica gel, Arnica cream. It was great. So that's my number one. I won't ever be without it. And when we travel, Arnica's in my vehicle.
That's fantastic.
Because inevitably somebody's going to get hurt or bruised.
It is, and I can validate and say that it truly is Monica's car when she travels.
It is
firsthand.
Arnica and calendula, both of them in my bag. So I mean that's my thing. Do you have? I want to grow Arnica. I want to grow the plant, but for now it's just on my subscribe and save. So, but I mean, I don't have it yet, but I do have like calendula things that I've made and stuff too. But so yeah, I don't know. Anybody else have what's your next one, Anne? If we're gonna go like and do a kind of a round robin, what's your next one?
Thing. My next one is oregano and oregano oil. Because I do make some oregano oil. It's oregano that's infused in oil, and I use the grapeseed oil to be able to infuse that. And that is a fabulous natural antibiotic. And you do take that internally. You do take that, where if I start feeling yucky or getting some kind of scratchy something or body aches or whatever, you can use the oregano oil. I actually use some well, I've fallen off the wagon for the last week, which is probably why I was coughing a little earlier. But I usually use it every day, just a little bit of a dropper, um, just to build my immune system. And so, yes, oregano, and we can all grow oregano, and we
Yeah.
can grow it pretty easily. The only thing is you have to make sure that it's completely dry before you infuse it with any kind of oil. And the oil needs to be consumable. So, an oil needs to
Right.
be consumable. So, grapeseed oil, olive oil, almond oil, any of those will certainly work. But the oregano oil has really saved a number of us, especially whenever I go around the grandbabies.
Well,
So,
really, even the oregano tinctures, the oregano tincture,
yes.
Mhm. Right.
when you put it in the vodka, I'm piggybacking off of Anne's choice, but I always
Absolutely.
have the oregano tincture in my medicine cabinet because
Yes.
I seem to be prone to dental issues.
Mhm.
With
Hmm.
dental issues come dental pain, and anybody that has had tooth pain knows that it's not for the faint of heart. It's
Right.
the worst pain ever. And for most of the time, you can feel a infection in your tooth or something coming on. I
Yes.
do a dropper of that oregano tincture again in a water bottle, and I drink it, and that's like taking the antibiotics that you would get from the doctors.
It
Now,
is really.
again, let's just say that we are not doctors,
No, we're not.
but we have used these practices that we've talked about, and it has helped. And it really has helped me to do the oregano. I have not done the oil yet. I really do want to try the oil because
It
you probably could use it like the antibiotic cream, right, Anne? Like if
absolutely.
you get a
Yes.
cut
Sure, you
to
can use
fill
it
it
as an
in.
antibiotic cream. And the oil is it doesn't the tincture is it tastes like straight booze to me. So I have a little bit of a hard time drinking it. But the oil is it doesn't have a taste, really. It doesn't have a taste particularly. So it's not any big deal. You certainly could put it in water. You could use it on your skin. You could use it anywhere you wanted to as far as that. You don't have to take it internally. You could rub it on if you have a spot that you need some antibiotic. Absolutely. So that's been very good for me. That's been very good for me. So, and I like that idea of a tincture. I have tinctures. I have goldenrod tincture. I have, which my husband swears by. I have mullein tincture. I do make them. It's just that I kind of save those for, uh,
Desperate time, desperate measures.
because the alcohol is going to preserve those.
Yeah. And with the tincture, see, I go a little more towards the tincture, where Ann goes a little more towards the oil. But
Hmm.
my thinking is a tincture will last literally forever.
Right.
It's preserving it forever. Where the oils go rancid after a certain amount of time. Depending on the oil, it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be a year and a half. Depends on what
Hmm.
it is. But um, and we talked about this on another episode. Like this is one of my tincture bottles. Where is my camera? Right there. This is willow bark tincture. A lot of people grow willow, and it's from the bark of it, and it's for headaches, hangovers, fevers, kidneys, and it tells me on the bottle to take a half a teaspoon. I like to take tinctures right under my tongue because it absorbs into your system really fast. It is powerful. Like Anne, that's why Anne's a little not liking because it's under your tongue and you gotta count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because you want to
So you
hold
said
it.
willow bark?
Yeah, willow bark. And
I just heard hungover, and I said I probably need to write that down. I don't have to do Advil.
but but I was thinking about this episode and I thought, okay, maybe there's people that are listening that have never even thought about having an herbal medicine cabinet. right? And so I thought, surely somebody's got a PDF online that I could print off. And I found a website. It's called marysnest.com. And she has a healing pantry inventory list.
I love Mary from Mary's Nest.
And one of the things I liked about it, it lists all the herbs, how it's stored, if you have garden seeds so you could grow it again. It has spices and then supplies like alcohol, beeswax, bottles, coconut oil, things like that. And then
Right.
I wrote things in there that I would always have in there. But there's resources out there. So you don't have to rack your brain on what to do. How do I start? And there's some great books at your library that you could just check out or
Yes.
go online. Always remembering it's somebody's opinion, it's somebody's experiences, unless
Right.
you're on a site that's actually a medical doctor's site, which there are some of those too.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
well, they also have sites like, I don't know if you've ever been to sites like Casa and Earthly Wellness. A lot of times I get my tinctures from like Earthly Wellness. That's
Mhm.
a place I kind of recently found over the last year. They have a lot of really good resources there too. So I kind of love those sites where not only can you buy the product, but they're teaching you how to use the product too.
Right.
So
Okay.
you don't feel like you're just getting it because, Andale said, get this. And you're like,
That's
oh,
right.
yay. And then you're like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
They give you some help and they give you instruction and it really helps
Mhm.
you understand how to use it. So they have herbal throat sprays. They have sinus for seasonal allergy tinctures you can take. And the cool thing is that maybe you're not an alcohol tincture person. Maybe you would rather do the glycerin tincture.
Right.
They
Right.
give you the options because I get tinctures from there all the time. And sometimes my kids are like, this one burns. I don't like it. So I opt for the glycerin tincture, but it's one of those places that you can go and not only buy the product, but learn about the product too.
Mhm.
And you can get the earthly stuff on Amazon. It's going to be the same price, basically. I've been checking. I look in both because people belong to the oil, essential oil places and things like that. But I will say I found that some of these websites are really good for teaching you how to get it, how to use it, as well as using it. And the combination's already there. So maybe you don't grow whatever's in that allergy tincture that they make for, let's say, for instance, this one is the allergy one. It comes with, what does it have in it? It's just no artificial colors, no and all that. It should say what it's got in it. Oh, ingredients: vegetable glycerin, elderberries, dandelion root, nettle leaf, turmeric, and whole black pepper. And then
Okay.
it tells me, safe for pregnancies, safe for breastfeeding, safe for kids. It gives all the kind of ideas there that if you're doing these things, it's safe. That's what I'm kind of saying. It teaches you a little bit about it.
Can I just say also that Sandy mentioned Mary's Nest.
She's
And I
amazing.
wanted to pop that up real fast and I'll have it. I'm going to have it in the description box of the show. And also I'm going to tag Mary in it. So Mary, if you hear us talking about you
We
and
love
you
you.
want to
Yes,
come
we
with
do
us,
love you, Mary.
we go live on Tuesdays if you want to come join us. But
That's
she
right.
does have some wonderful ones here.
She really
that-
does.
I mean, right here is the healing pantry one that Sandy talked about.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so, Monica, yours was called the Earthly what?
Earthly Wellness. If you just go type in Earthly Wellness or Earthly Tinctures, you can go in and you can kind of look at them. And I mean, you don't have to buy them from there. You can buy them from Amazon or wherever. But if you buy them from the website, you're getting it from the website. But I love
Yeah.
it because it gives you the idea of how to use it. And it tells you everything that's in it. And it's a source that you can at least go, okay, this is a brand that, Earthly Wellness. And you can go there, you can click on all the different things. You can become an affiliate if you really love it and you want to, show your friends if you wanted to, whatever. But I just love that you can literally, like I said, immunity, a skincare, all of it. You can just go there and figure out
Okay.
what you want to put in your cabinet because maybe you don't grow all the things. I have Feel Better Fast and Cough Be Gone both. I have them both. They are amazing. My kids got sick earlier in the year. I used the Feel Better Fast and I'm going to tell you what, knocked it out of them quickly. It was great because whatever's in it was just what they needed to get their bodies going again. And
Right.
if I don't have it otherwise that I've made, I want to know that someone else is doing it and it's done well.
Right.
Right.
So there's lots of
Right.
reviews still.
Yeah. And take advantage of those websites or books that are telling you, like, I have a lot of herb books. One of the things they tell you at the end of each section on an herb, when you should not use this herb. You need to have some kind of either a website or a
Yep.
book that's telling you, because certain herbs will interact with maybe medicine or an issue
Right.
that you might have. And so you always want to be safe. But, and especially if you're having a combination of a tincture, with
Mhm.
different parts, do you know how much of each thing to put in there? Where this website that Monica's talking about, they've already figured those things out.
Right.
And so, and maybe you don't want to take a tincture. Maybe you just want to have a tea that does that.
Yeah.
So you want to look for information that will give you the best thing possible. Where for me, I never buy those things on Amazon because I don't know enough information about those people that are selling it.
Mhm.
I would rather
Okay.
go to a regular website
Yeah.
that specializes in herbs so that I can actually know that
Mhm.
they know what they're talking about.
And the good thing
Right.
about the Earthly place too is if you scroll all the way down, it'll tell you it'll give you recipes, it gives you DIY, it tells you all the stuff. I mean, there's ways to actually, like, you can read their blogs, things like that. So you
Mhm.
know that they're doing their work. You can even
Mhm.
see like their mission statement. So when you see it's from a like company that is reputable, but they care enough to give you all these resources. As a matter of
Right.
fact, I've purchased with them several times, and each time I've gotten like a PDF download on such and such, or how to use these herbal medicines, how to use this.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this
That's
because I don't feel like I'm just winging it, like you said.
Yeah.
And with Amazon, some people just are like, oh, I'm going to go with Amazon. They're the same price. I've already checked.
Yeah.
So I'll go there I go to the Earthly site, and I'm like, is it cheaper? Really? It's actually the same price. So yeah.
And Mary's Nest does the same type of thing.
Yeah.
She is very informational in
Oh,
her
she's amazing.
videos and all of the things that she describes, and she
Mhm.
does it in such a calm, kind, informative way that I feel like her websites, Mary's Nest, would be a great place as well. So
And
Mhm.
Casey,
Agreed.
will you put both of those in our description?
I
Both of
will.
those links?
I will. And they'll also be in our QR code, which also is um here.
So
here
if you
we
go
go.
onto YouTube and if you're in your podcast world, then just jump over to YouTube real quick, grab the QR code, and then go there.
And then you'll be able to go to those ones, because I know right after I get off from shooting this podcast, I'm going to be going to the websites and
That's right.
talking up, and I usually do it. But if you wanted to make some more homemade stuff, one thing that I also, since we were doing the round robin, I like to have, which is very random, I like to make homemade yellow mustard and have it in my medicinal cabinet. Why,
Okay.
you may ask? Why, Casey? Sandy knows why. I know
Why?
Sandy knows why. Because when I was in nursing school, before I became this fabulous YouTuber
Before you got
homesteader
famous.
that you see today, I was in
Mhm.
nursing school to be an LPN. And we did our nursing practicals where we went out and we worked into the hospitals. And I had this probably, I'd say an older Black woman. Her name was Miss Gladys, and she had been a nurse for 40 years. And she gave me 2 hints of medicinal stuff that was not medicine from the hospital that I will never forget. For burns, she said, if you take a yellow mustard, we're not talking about Dijon, we're not talking about honey mustard, we're not talking about beer mustard, we're talking about yellow mustard. You take it and you lather it on a burn. If you grab something that is burned, sunburn, you grab a cast iron pan and it burns your hand. I'm trying to think of other things. Maybe you're crazy and sleep through anything, and a lamp falls on your elbow, and you get a light bulb infection. And
What
your
is that?
That
if you
sounds
do
a
it,
little,
yeah, I did. It happened. You put that yellow mustard on it. There is no scar, and it takes away the burn.
But you
I
just have yellow skin.
No, I didn't even. I mean, I'm still yellowless, but it doesn't smell great while you have it on. I mean, you smell like a hot dog.
sure.
But it works. I don't know, Sandy, correct me. I'm thinking it's the vinegar in yellow
Well,
mustard that probably takes away the burn.
Well, it's part of the vinegar, and actually the mustard seed itself. It used to be that they would make poultices out of mustard seed. If you had a lot of congestion on your chest, was having a hard time breathing, they would put that on your chest, and it would absorb through your skin. So
Mhm.
mustard has a lot of healing properties.
So what,
Mhm.
and it's so easy. We'll have to, when we get more into the canning episodes, which are coming very soon, y'all. So make sure you're subscribing wherever you're listening to us. I will give a very easy yellow mustard recipe that you can make at home with 3 ingredients and that you can
Fantastic.
can it and have it shelf stable, because I've used it many, many times for you're busy in the kitchen, you're rocking, you're rolling, and you're cooking something in the cast iron in the oven, and you reach into the oven to grab the pan.
Mhm.
You're like, oh, I probably should have put a mitt or something on to grab the
Yeah.
cast iron. And you rub it on there. And now I may not have fingerprints anymore. Like I probably shouldn't be in trouble with the law. But I don't have any scarring. So yellow mustard for me is my next one that I think is absolutely a must have. Sandy, what about you?
Wow. Well, I'll probably go with yarrow. Just because it's one of those plants that's anybody can grow it. They can grow it in a pot, they can grow it in the house, they can grow it outside. It will reseed itself, it will spread different places, but you can use the entire plant. I mean, seriously, you cut yourself out in the garden, you can stuff those leaves into that cut till you can get home or back
Oh,
in the house, and it
yeah.
will stop the bleeding.
Oh,
It just I read years and years ago, if you could only have one herb, it should be yarrow, and it it just is a myriad of things.
sounds
Okay.
wonderful.
Well, before we go, I have to ask, have you ever used comfrey? Because that would have been my next one. Because I'm growing comfrey for finally, like after years of wanting to grow it. And I really want to start using it, but I know it can be toxic to the liver. Like it can be,
Mhm.
you have to be really careful with how much you use it and stuff like that. But I heard it's really good for like wound healing and like all the things, like even bones and stuff. Like I've heard it's really good. Have you ever like, do you use it,
Well,
Sandy?
She was.
I know that this sounds very silly, but I know that people will put that wrap it around when they've broken something on
Yeah.
before they get to the hospital,
Yeah.
and it absorbs into your skin and it helps with bone healing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I'm like, I need this. We damage our bodies here. And we haven't had a lot of broken bones, but I'm like, I'm keeping some comfrey on it. So it is, I mean, like I've heard these things too. I've heard it's really good for those things. Like I got some comfrey salve and I've been rubbing it on my back. I've been
Right.
rubbing it on like everywhere that's like hurting. Now I'm not using it all the time, every day, but I've been using it enough. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm hoping this is working because I just need my body to heal. And I know it's a very healing herb,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah,
plant. So I think, yeah, I'm going to
That's
learn
right.
how to use it better.
awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you all. Our time is up. We are trying to keep to our schedule here, but where we are on Round the Hay Bale, no matter where you're listening from on our podcast networks or on YouTube of any of our channels, we certainly appreciate you being here. We go live on Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Central. And we would love to have you come in and we'll be talking about this particular subject tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And we want to hear what you have to say. What's your favorite herb? So thank you all for coming. So bye, y'all. Bye.